Okay guys, welcome back. And today's video isn't really about something that you need to do today, but something that you probably will need to do at some point, and we might as well figure out how. That is learning how to debug your code. If any of you have run into problems in your code already, you may have been able to figure them out by yourself, or you may have gotten a little stumped. And when you're writing your own code and not copying and pasting, it's easy to make small mistakes. So today let's go take a closer look at how to find and fix those mistakes when they do occur. So first, I'm just going to open up my mouse click script that I already have on my pickup object. And here in MonoDevelop, I'm going to create some errors deliberately so that you can see how they manifest in Unity and how Unity makes us aware of them, and then how to fix them. So first off, the most common mistake that I see in our classroom is a student forgetting to put a semicolon at the end of a statement. So I'm going to close my eyes and click on a random line and hit delete. Now I'm going to go File and Save, and I'm going to jump back over to Unity. Now, if you look closely down here, you'll notice something has changed already. Down in the very bottom left-hand corner, I see this red stop sign with an exclamation point. That means that there is something wrong with our code. In fact, it's so wrong that if I go to test play right now, it's not even going to allow me to test my game. It says all compile errors have to be fixed before you can enter play mode. So it's one thing, one semicolon is missing, but we can't even play our game until it's fixed. Now we only have one script that we're writing right now. There are other scripts in the game, but we're only working on one. So in that instance, it's not too tough to know where to start looking, especially since this code is pretty short. But if you were working on several scripts and they were very large and had a lot going on, it could be hard to know where to start. So Unity is going to help us out by giving us some really handy information right down here next to this stop sign. First, it starts by telling us where to find the file that has the problem. So it tells us that it is in the assets folder and then in the scripts folder. Then it tells us the name, mouse click. So I know where to find it, and I know that it is specifically the mouse click script that has something wrong with it. Next, we get a couple of numbers inside of a pair of parentheses. And it says the first number is 25. That first number is the one that I want you to look at, because 25 is telling us that the error has occurred on line 25. So when we go into MonoDevelop in a second, we're going to be going straight to line 25 and seeing what's wrong. A small caveat here is sometimes Unity can't understand exactly what's wrong. So there's always a chance that the error is actually on line 24 and it's affecting line 25 or something like that. So you should start at line 25, and if you really can't see the error there, you might look a line above or a line below or close by, but it should be somewhere in that vicinity, and often it's spot on. Next, it tells us what the error is. So it gives us a code here, and you could always Google that code to get more information. But what we really need to know is usually right at the end. It says semicolon expected. So it expected there to be a semicolon in line 25, where in fact there is not one. So let's open up MonoDevelop. We will jump to, okay, and see, here's what I'm talking about. I go to look at line 25 and I see, well, that's just a curly bracket, and I definitely don't want a semicolon here. So the error is actually on line 24. Unity got us pretty close, but we need to use our skills to get us to the exact right location. So if I get to line 25 and I say, I know there's not supposed to be a semicolon here, what's it talking about? All right, this starts a whole new function. Probably not what we're looking at. Well, let's go up one. Okay, sure enough, in line 24, it's missing a semicolon. And the reason that it misinterpreted that is because we left off a semicolon and then we have more data right below it. Basically, this is like a run-on sentence. It thinks, okay, I'm not supposed to stop here. I'm supposed to keep going and determine this information as well. So it's trying to read this curly bracket as part of the code, and then it says, hey, this isn't ending with a semicolon, but what we actually need to do is put the semicolon up here. And now if we go and save our code once again and jump back over to Unity, after just a moment, it should catch up with our new update. Once it catches up to the save that we just made, and that data is saved in Unity, we no longer have that red stop sign. Now you may notice right now I have sort of a yellow yield sign down here. This is pretty common. This could be indicative of a bunch of small things that could be just a little bit imperfect in your scene. These types of imperfections won't prevent us from test playing, and lots of games get launched with little imperfections like this that don't really affect the gameplay. So sure, you should keep an eye on those, and if you understand what it's warning you about, you might consider fixing it. But they're just not that big a deal compared to seeing that red stop sign. And if we were to go test play our game now, it would allow us because all the compile errors have been fixed. So everything's working again. Looking good. Let's jump back to our script and break something else just so we can learn how to fix it. Another really common error that I see people make is taking something like our statement for, say, on mouse exit, and instead of keeping this in the function, they might accidentally type it outside of the function. So you can see it's a small difference, but I moved this outside of these curly brackets. And already, this little spell checker-like red line shows up here telling me that something's wrong because when this isn't contained in a function, it just doesn't function the way it's supposed to. But let's save it, and let's go back to Unity, and let's see what happens. Right away, we get our red stop sign. It tells us which script it's in, and it tells us what line it believes it's on. That's line 36. It says unexpected symbol equals in class, and then it goes on with some more details. And again, this is another example where, okay, it told us that the problem is on line 36, and in a lot of ways, it's right. Now, it's telling us that the problem is the equal sign, but deleting the equal sign won't really fix the problem. But one would hope that upon coming here and looking at line 36 and seeing this, that you, as a human who is learning how to code, would realize, you know what, this code is kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. I need to cut this and paste it back up where it belongs. And if you save that and go back, as soon as Unity catches up to see what we've saved, our error goes away and we're good to go again. Let's go look at one more really common mistake that a lot of people make. Other than just writing code outside of the curly brackets, sometimes people just forget to put the curly brackets in, especially at the end. A lot of people start their function correctly, but then once they get done writing the big chunk of the code, forget to add on the last curly bracket or so. So let's save this after deleting those bottom two curly brackets, go back to Unity and see what happens. Once again, red stop sign tells us where to find the problem, and it says that this is on line 38. And this is pretty helpful here because as we go to the end, it says unexpected symbol, end of file. So it's telling us that there is no end to the file. Instead of a run-on sentence, this is like a run-on paragraph. It's saying that there's just nowhere for the file to end. An easy way to check on whether or not you're doing your curly brackets correctly is if you click on one curly bracket, it should highlight in orange the one that it's attached to. So I click on the top curly bracket here, and it highlights in orange its partner that closes out this function. I can do the same here. I can do the same up here. But if I click on the first curly bracket, you'll notice that it's not attached to anything. There's no corresponding curly bracket highlighted in orange. The same problem occurs here in our void on mouse exit. I click on this curly bracket and it's not attached to anything. So if you click on a curly bracket and there's nothing highlighted in orange, that means that you're going to need to close that curly bracket with another one. So I'll enter an extra curly bracket down here, and that orange pops up, letting me know that those two are connected. I'll hit enter one or two more times, create one more curly bracket, and we'll see that it's highlighted up at the very top. So this starts the entire program, and this ends it. And that should fix our problem. Keep in mind, there are quite a few different types of brackets, and which ones you're using does make an important difference. For example, when you create a function like void on mouse exit, here we're using standard parentheses created by clicking Shift 9 and Shift 0. But when we're containing all the code in that function, we need to use the curly brackets, which is used by holding down the Shift key and using the keys that are just to the right of the letter P on your keyboard. So make sure that you're using the right brackets in the right place. I know sometimes when the code is small on your screen, it can be difficult to see, and one bracket can look very similar to another, but you need to pay close attention and get those correct. So with those curly brackets in place, if I save and go back, give Unity just a second to catch up, our red stop sign will go away, and we're back in business. So with that out of the way, what you should really be doing this week is taking the time to just work on your environments. Make them as big and beautiful as possible, make them as interactive as possible. Include collectible objects. Make them not just cubes. Decide what is the player going to be collecting in your scene. It could be a whole lot of one type of object, or it could be a bunch of very unique objects. Find those assets, place them around your scene, attach the code that's required to collect them, get sound effects working, get sound effects working for those items, all the things that are going to make your game feel big, playable, and complete. You should just be developing right now. So until next time, good luck and have fun.